welcome you to the Children's Trust regular meeting of February the 12th. And first, I think that I am supposed to read something prior to the roll call. So, any member of the public wishing to be heard shall come forward to the podium at the appropriate time and introduce themselves to the board. Members of the public recognized by the chair will have 3 minutes to speak on a single subject matter or to address the current motion on the floor. The clerk of the trust will now function as the official timekeeper. And would you like to do roll call, please, Ashley?
Member Andrew?
Present.
Member Zerna?
Here.
Member Chance?
Here.
Member Cornell?
Here.
Member Ferrero?
Here.
Member Hart?
Here.
Member Labarda?
Here.
Member Pinkerton?
Here.
Member Plummer?
Here.
Okay. Any changes to the agenda, Madam Director?
No, sir.
All right, we have the complete consent agenda and the regular agenda as well. If we could get a motion, that would be great.
I move approval. Second.
We have a motion in a couple seconds. Any discussion? Any public discussion? There being none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion is unanimous. Moving right along. General public comments. Anybody who would like to come to address the board about any topic that's not on the agenda, please come forward, and we would love to hear what you have to say. Good afternoon.
Hello, thank you for this opportunity to speak. Most of you know me, I'm Leah Gallione, Director of Peak Literacy, a program that offers free reading lessons to students in our community. I know you're all aware that low literacy rates in our schools is one of the largest, most important, urgent problems we face, and something the Trust has expressed a desire to address. In 2020, the Trust's first and only open grant funding process, we were awarded $42,500 to serve 15 students. Since then, the Trust has continued to support us with funding renewed at that level, but without additional funding opportunities that might reflect how we have grown and our potential to help even more students in our community. And we have indeed grown a lot. Last year alone, we served 116 children in our county. Currently, we're serving students during the school day at Stephen Foster Elementary in a popular after-school program for middle and high schoolers, and dozens receive lessons at home. Principals, teachers, pediatricians, parents, and other community agencies refer children to us. We're the only program in Alachua County offering such help to middle and high school students who can't afford expensive tutoring programs. Our program is highly effective. Children who enroll stick with it for 12 weeks, grow their reading level by 1.2 years, and we have data to back that claim up. We hear stories from teachers and parents and children themselves about how gaining fluency in their reading has raised their grades, changed their behavior, and turned their attitude towards reading and learning from one of anxiety and apathy to one of joy and positive engagement. Finally, I want to note that our program is volunteer-driven. Over the past 4 years, more than 200 volunteer reading coaches have worked with us, engaging directly with students and boosting their success. In this way, peak literacy is not only helping to close the literacy achievement gap, but also the gap in relationship and community that allows so many of us to ignore the deep social problems that affect the lives of neighbors who live in just 5 minutes across town. With all that we've achieved, we're extremely grateful for the Trust's support. I've worked hard with my board and our supporters to create alternative sources of revenue to support our work and grow it. However, the Trust continues to be our largest partner in line with its mission to invest in bettering the lives of children in our community, children that Peak Literacy serves. As you know, funding from the Trust ends at the end of March, and we have now been told that not only will a funding continuation not be available, but that there is no mechanism available to apply for further funding to support this work at this time. I want to be frank with you, we will not be able to continue the children we have served without the Trust support. We will have to cut back drastically and may not be able to continue the work full-time. Fewer children will be served and the achievement gap will remain. I ask that the Trust strongly consider continuing to partner with us to address this vital need. This is good work you have been doing. Please don't stop now. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Gallione.
As you know, funding from the Trust ends at the end of March, and we have now been
Anyone
told
else
that
care to
not
speak?
only will a funding continuation not be available, but that there is no mechanism
once,
available to
going
apply
twice.
for further funding
Okay.
to support this work at
Thank
this
you.
time. I want to be frank with you, we
Madam
will
Director?
not be able to continue the children we have served
Sorry.
without the Trust support.
I'm hearing
We will
feedback.
have to cut back
It's coming
drastically
from the
and may not be able to
computer.
continue the work full-time. Fewer children will be served and the achievement gap will
I
remain.
heard it too. I thought it was outside, so I apologize.
To address this vital need.
Thank you,
This is
Demetra.
good work you've been doing.
I know, it's like, I know I'm not hearing that.
You're not hearing things. I think that was given out of ink.
Okay, so,
I think that was given out. Thank you.
thank you, Mr. Chair, and we are so delighted to have you as our chair.
Yeah, it's only the first meeting.
All right, I wanted to highlight a few things. Certainly, our annual report came out the end of December. All of you should have received an electronic copy and a hard copy. Kirsten, please stand. I just want to, everybody, all the staff participated and was really, really good about getting the information over to Kirsten, but I have to highlight and say thank you to Kirsten. She came in on the 4th, and she made this happen, y'all. So Kirsten, thank you for all of your hard work and your due diligence in ensuring that we met our deadline and that we produced a product that we can be proud of. Thank you.
There's a lot of information in it, Kirsten, and for everybody, thank y'all very much. It was very complete and thorough.
Thank you. Our FACT conference was also held in December. I just want to say kudos to Christy, who gave a great presentation on Freedom School for us. And then I think you're going to hear from Children's Home Society a little later in the meeting. And they gave us a shout out during the meeting that we weren't expecting. So it was a really, really good meeting for us. And we had, I think, some really good takeaways, those of us that attended. And then lastly, well, actually not lastly, I have a couple of more points to make after this. As you all know, the trust moved. It has been an interesting 2 weeks of of boxes and roof work, but we're in the building. Most of us are, our offices are all set up. I think some of the staff was giving me the side eye last week as the folks were stomping on top of their heads with those guns that lay all of the shingles. But that work has been completed. And then I have, if you all will just bear with me, I believe in thanking people when they go out of their way to help you. And we've had a lot of people who have done just that. So the county management and legal counsel, Gina Peoples, Michelle Lieberman, and of course our own Bob Swain, our county facilities folks, assisted with architects, construction. They reviewed the roofing quotes for me, our painting quotes, inspections and maintenance work orders. That's Dan Whitcraft, our facilities director, Danny Moore, capital projects coordinator, and Matthew Foltz, capital projects coordinator. County IT on Monday, January 29th, when we arrived at the building, they were waiting on us. We didn't have desks. But they were there. So we have to say thank you to Dennis McGarity with Security and Telecommunications, Joel Granshaw, Nick Constable, Beth Krenzer, and Tyler Langford. That's all the IT folks. They were awesome. And then, of course, County Surplus. They were able to help us with some filing cabinets. That's Craig Tomlinson. And I don't have Lewis's last name, but Lewis is a clerk in that area. So we just want to say thank you to everybody from the county who has gone out of their way to ensure that we were able to do what we were trying to do. We had furniture left over in the building from CRI, and so we thank our providers who came out and said, we'll take those things, and they were able to take about 36 items, I believe, that were left in the building. And then, of course, all the staff who just jumped in and said, we'll do whatever we can do while we can do it. And then, of course, Chair Pinkerton and Member Chance, who brought us great barbecue and cookies. So just a thank you to everybody for everything that you did to help us with the move. It was indeed angst and stressful, but we got through it. We know we still have a bit to do, but kind of like we always say, it takes a village when you're moving to get it all done. So thank you, everybody. You all should have received an email from us about a board workshop, and the date was March 25th. Yes? I'm looking at faces. I know some of you, Maggie, I know you said you're going to be out, you will not be able to attend. Judge, you had a conflict, I believe, on that day. Mary, I don't know if we heard back from you.
I should be able to be there. What is the time frame?
Well, we were looking at 1 to 3:30, I think was the time that seemed to fit best for the folks who responded. But I wanted to make sure today that that would still work for most of you.
I'm out that week, but if it.
Oh,
if
Tina, I
it-
thought Tina said she could, but no, Monday the 25th?
I thought I said I was tentative because I was
Okay.
planning to travel that week.
Okay.
Go if my colleagues, if the bulk of the board is available, go ahead and go.
Yeah.
Okay.
That pretty much everybody else up here is good, can make that time.
I have a joint meeting at 3 with the city, so I'll have to leave early.
So we said 1 to
1 to 2:45.
Okay. So
This-
then,
this more important
Shane, I
than
see you looking at your calendar.
was that date again?
The 25th, Monday, the 25th.
Lee said I can miss the city meeting.
I know which one's more important.
Well, hopefully by 2:45, we will be winding down.
That's on tape.
Nancy?
I did not reply, but I am available.
Okay. Then it looks like we have the majority of you, so we're going to go with 1 to 3 on Monday, the 25th. And then lastly,
Where, I'm
Oh.
sorry, where will that be?
that's a good question.
TBD.
TBD. If they have, no, by the 25th, hopefully, we should be well into renovation work on the conference room. So we'll let you know the location on that. And then lastly, we had a request from the county commission for a joint meeting with them on Monday, May 6th at 4. So we just wanted to get that on your calendars
At the commission chambers?
at Commission Chambers. What's the
Grace.
Grace Night, where we met with them the last time. And I believe that concludes my report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay. Next item, I believe, is a presentation, Christie, on the strategic plan.
Yes, thank you. In your board packet, you should have information regarding the actual strategic plan. Sorry, I'm trying to get this mic correct. As well as an update, timeline. And so my goal for this presentation really is just to hit on a couple high points as I provided you all with all the detail and then answer any questions that you all may have. So I'll go ahead and get started. The first two items under Goal 1 are funding opportunities to be released in the spring. Both strategies, maternal child health and access to comprehensive care for children and youth, include strategies to ensure families, partners, and current providers have the opportunity to offer feedback before the RFP is finalized. Again, that's maternal child health as well as access to comprehensive care for children and youth. Our staff internally are working with organizations now to learn a little bit more about the data, about services that exist, what type of services that don't exist that we need to be looking into, and like I said, getting feedback from families. I want to mention, though, real quickly before we move on, access to comprehensive care for children and youth. That's a newer RFP for us, and we're interested in working with our current providers that offer health services, and those services that I'm suggesting would be dental, vision, prenatal care. We have unallocated dollars that the board has already approved for us to use, but we want to take some of those dollars and ensure those services don't end before our RFP comes out. And so that, again, that would be dental services, that would be health services. So I'm thinking about Saving Smiles, I'm thinking about CHS, who's going to be presenting, and all the great work they're doing over at Howard Bishop. And so we have contracts with them right now, and so it would extend their services through September instead of ending in March. But we do have the unallocated dollars that we could use for that. The
Chrissy,
RFP,
just to make sure,
Yeah.
and those are the ones that we tentatively said we weren't going to fund, but now we're going to go back and fund them. Is that-
so what we said,
Well,
Yeah.
right.
Yes.
So some of the ones that previously were not going to get any more funding, y'all let us know which ones they are.
I want to clarify, it's not that they were not going to get any more funding. They would qualify under a new pot of money.
Right.
Yes, that
Right.
they would apply for. They would still be required to apply for dollars. This would just extend their current time.
It ended in March, right? That was those programs that
That
ended
is
in
correct.
March. And then before, okay.
That is
Thank you.
correct. Are there any other questions before?
I actually do have a question, if now's a good time. Not on the health line, though, but on the other initiatives, on the strategic plan initiatives, the comprehensive literacy. I didn't ask a question when peak literacy, when she just doing the public comment there, but I'm wondering, because is there a place where that peak literacy or organizations like peak literacy?
She is mentioned in this, so yes, ma'am, it is in here.
I missed that then.
Yeah, it's going to fall up under the comprehensive literacy plan update within Goal 2 within this document.
So I guess, so my thing is there a mechanism for the funding for her to have extended funding, sort of to what you were just speaking to now?
We're actually meeting with Leah as well as the school district to look at expanding her services for the EDEP program. And so we're meeting with her. We asked her to also submit a proposal on how she can work with some after-school programs. And so, yes, it is happening.
Look at the bottom of page 3 on the goal 2. Keep one more page, 2 more pages.
Ken and then Dr. Arnold.
Tina, you
Yes,
done?
Are you done?
Yeah, Chrissy just gave me a decent.
Okay,
explanation.
on that note, I know when the county talked about our joint meeting, literacy was kind of at the top of
One of the-
a couple of those board members. So just to kind of let you know that for that meeting in May.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ken, by the May meeting, we should have a really good update for you.
Literacy and math.
Yes, literacy and
Anyway,
math.
and the rest.
Would it be easier for me to just take questions since you guys have all the details? I was
Dr. Hart, would you
gonna
like-
ask.
And you had more, Christie? Gee, sorry.
It's okay.
I just want to make sure that our new communications director, who's doing such a marvelous job, can see from this conversation that people are probably not really aware that we are adopting our strategic plan with the money behind it as the plan was laid out. We aren't erasing the board, kicking everybody out and saying never come back. What we're saying is, we're changing the way we're doing things to be consistent with all the work that we've done with our strategic plan. So I think the community needs to understand that. I think we understand that. But the fact that Christie probably has to explain this to someone 14 times a day means that we need to make sure everyone understands that. Am I close,
Yes.
Christie?
Yes, yes.
Christie, continue, please.
Okay, all right. Did you have any additional questions about the comprehensive? Okay, and you guys are understanding that we're interested in extending those services for a short time while we work on the RFP? Okay, all right.
Yes.
I just wanted to make sure. Continuing on under Goal 1, we also have the Family Resource Centers. And that expansion that you all approved is off to a great start. Not only is the trust financially supporting SWAG as well as the Library Partnership Resource Centers, we're also funding the community navigator positions. Those positions are traveling to our rural areas such as High Springs, City of Alachua, Hawthorne, and offering services, working with families. The goal is for you all to picture them as a mobile resource center as they are traveling to those rural areas. They're also working with the Porters community as well as Pine Ridge Community Center. We are actively working with the community leaders there to identify potential days and times where the community navigators can offer those resource center type services there also. In your report, you will notice that with our contract with Partnership for Strong Families, it includes consulting services to enhance operations and expand resources to families at the Willie Mae Stokes Community Center, as well as one community health and wellness resource center in East Gainesville. As you all remember, Partnership for Strong Families did have to make a difficult decision to close their east side location, and so we're working with the one community health and wellness resource center to bring services back to that location.
Chrissy, a question. The navigators, are they supervised, hired and supervised by Partnership for Strong Families?
Yes. I'm going to move on to Goal 2. All children and youth can learn what they need to be successful. Under Goal 2, when we think about early learning, the staff are actively meeting with the Early Learning Coalition to create best strategies to help promote VPK messaging and increase VPK enrollment in Alachua County. We're also working with the Early Learning Coalition to establish a fund to support families who are unable to pay for extended time after the VPK hours end. And so, as you know, Edie Kiner sits on the board for the Early Learning Coalition, and then Mia, who's our early learning coordinator, she is also working with them closely so we can identify what supports and needs can be, that we can expand to assist families, specifically the Alice population families. We also have our mentoring and character building under Goal 2, and we have executed 6 contracts and are putting a lot of man hours into supporting those providers to ensure they're offering the services per the agreement that we have with them. As the board can remember, once we identified the 6 providers that we wanted to contract with, we were initially going to request additional funding from the county as well as the city of Gainesville. We have $154,000, $55,000 left from the approved allocation for mentoring. And so we, within our strategic plan, within our budget that was approved, identified funding for mini grants. And so we are interested in supporting an additional 8 mentoring providers who scored 70 or higher. Someone may have to correct me on that. 70 or higher, and supporting them with mini grants. Not necessarily the type of contracts that we normally execute. I don't know if you all remember, about 2 years ago, I presented to the board the difference between grants and contracts. And so we're interested in supporting them with mini grants up to $15,000. There's some restrictions, there's some reporting. We definitely want to keep things such as required level 2 background screenings. We want to ensure that there are monthly character building opportunities with the youth. But with a mini grant at $15,000, we would not be holding them accountable for the same type of service as someone who's getting $75,000, $60,000 for mentoring. But it does expand mentoring. It helps expand mentoring into the city of Alachua. And so there's this opportunity for us to work with them. We've been in communication with them. They're willing to accept the $15,000 and get a better understanding of how funding works from the Children's Trust.
Questions? Because that probably deserves a motion, because that is a little different from what we've authorized staff to do.
So I think it's great. I think it gives us an opportunity to take these 7 or 8 organizations and see how we can help them scale maybe in the next cycle. I think a lot of them are obviously smaller and need the resources, and so it puts the money into the community, which is what we need right now with gun violence and all the other things that we are addressing as a community. Recognizing some of the challenges the city has, hopefully this will be on our ask for the county when we have our county meeting. And with that, I would move that the remaining funds of $154,974 be used to offer mini grants to the remaining 8 applicants that earned a score between 70 and 80 points.
So moved. Have a motion and a second. Seconded. Do we have any discussion?
I just wanted to ask one, or make one point. When you said, Christie, that with these smaller grants, and I understand the difference between a grant and a contract, they'll get used to working with the trust. I'd just be real clear in communicating with them the difference up front. So
Yes.
they don't think the expectation for a larger pot of money is the same as it was with the smaller grants.
Yes.
I would also ask that you consider calling them capacity grants rather than mini grants, or something about the capacity. I agree with that.
Yeah, I like that.
I like that.
Capacity instead of many.
Any further questions?
Did you, I saw the list of the mentoring organizations in the front of the binder. Was there a list of this that I missed for these organizations here, or was that in a I know it was in a previous meeting, we had that, we saw the cut score, but did I miss it in the binder this time?
You did not. I
Okay.
did not. I did not add it.
I was watching football and looking at the agenda last night.
What a game,
That explains
wow.
why I missed peak literacy on page 3 back
We
there.
can give you the,
I don't need it right now, I was just wondering if I missed it.
I can make sure I report back.
Okay, but I agree with
That
Mary
same
Ann.
spreadsheet we saw before.
Right.
Any other questions? The only question I have, Christie, is if we are giving them some money, are there any kind of expectations that are, that will kind of determine whether they're making progress, the children are making progress, other than they attended?
There will be expectations. They won't just get a check and we never hear from them. We will definitely have some expectations. We'll collect, some data. We'll require some information for reporting. So we will receive some information for sure.
Okay, the real key is that you can see whether or not they're,
Whether or not they're providing
Whether they're helping the
services,
children.
making some impact, yep.
right, okay. The motion is that we approve the $154,000 to capacity grants. Any questions to anybody?
So change that to capacity, you okay with that, Chair?
Yes, okay.
Change that to capacity.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion's unanimous.
Can I ask a question? Christie, will those providers be put into SAMUS along with all the, okay, so,
yes.
yes, yes.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So there's-
Everybody's gonna be
Everybody's in the Samus,
Samus.
number one, everybody's in the Samus.
Everybody's in Samus.
You didn't hear Bonnie back there going,
No, she was back there going, woo. Yeah. We had a whole discussion about that.
okay, Christie.
Moving along, out-of-school time activities, you'll see that under go-to as well. They're funded as described in your report. That would include after-school as well as enrichment, which will be released for funding again in July. So the goal is to expand the number of enrichment providers. Right now, I think for the last couple of years, we've only had 6 or 7, and so our goal is to get the information out more about enrichment opportunities to be funded. Those are out-of-school activities that can then go to after-school programs, churches, summer camps, wherever a group of children may be involved in a program, they can then go and take that out there. So we're excited about getting more of those funded and out in the community. It also, sorry, I lost my place. And then we have 2 STEM providers and some other summer programming that wouldn't be included in summer camps. So that's like our midnight basketball program, Teams Work Alachua. In addition to preparing the 3 RFPs that I just mentioned, so you have maternal child health, you have access to comprehensive care, the enrichment, we are actively renewing 23 summer camp providers right now. They're going to be in their last fiscal year with us, and then we have to start preparing a summer camp RFP, again, for another 2 years, yes. And so there's not a dull moment in the programs department. Lots happening, several RFPs in cycles, several programs being monitored as we speak, several renewals taking place. And so, and the bulk of our money, as you remember, is in go-to, specifically happening in the summer. Moving on to our Community Advisory Board. So in the strategic plan, it is described as strategically partnering with the school district, funded providers, community organizations, and families to create a comprehensive solution for increasing math and literacy proficiency. So as of today, the trust has facilitated, a meeting with the school district to discuss the possible expansion I mentioned with peak literacy earlier. So that is where we are working with peak literacy to identify how and where and when we expand, specifically with her program. Included in that, we're hopeful that we can have a MOU with the district so that we can see the great work that she's doing and how that, what does that look like in the school district? What does that look like with their testing, their scores? And so we know her program based on Great Leaps is doing well. We then want to continue that and then make sure that's also happening in the school district so that we can see there. We're also working on our comprehensive literacy plan committee. We're partnering with the Lastinger Center for Learning, and they have submitted a proposal to E.D. Kiner where they will conduct a literacy needs assessment as well as a literacy plan for our county. And there will be a formal presentation, as mentioned earlier, to the board in the coming months, not only about that literacy plan, where we are, what the goal is, but also the expansion with peak literacy. Any questions before I move on to goal 3?
Judge,
I have a question, thank you. Is the plan for peak literacy for some other pot of money to pick it up, or is there still an option for some children's trust money to be available for them?
It's trust funding.
Okay, well, the reason I just asked you that is because I thought Ms. Gallione just said there was no path forward for her, and I was confused by that, because that's not what you're saying. So I guess it does seem like, and I don't know what's happening, but in E.D. Kiner's reports, you often say that you're telling people and telling groups things, and like they don't really hear it. And so I'm not saying you're not doing a great job, and I'm not sure they're not doing a great job. I don't know what the disconnect is, but that seems to be a regular common occurrence in your reports to us. Is there anything that we could brainstorm to think of how to help make that connection? Because it does sound like, even though this sounded bad and this sounded good, and they're not.
Yeah, I still have a question too, so I'm.
So I guess I'm just confused.
I
And maybe
don't
Ms.
know
Gallione would like to
that
come up and
there
speak as to what her
is-
confusion is. I don't know.
I don't know that there's another way other than, I think that there is concern because the time is growing near to the end of their contract.
Okay, well, that's fair.
And they expressed that back in September, October, August, when we talked about the contracts were going to end in March. And there's a process that has to be followed. And this is just my opinion, is because we weren't necessarily following processes before. And if folks came and expressed concern, we were going ahead and making motions and kind of doing things out of order. I think that's the issue, as opposed to us saying, there is a process, we're getting there. And to be fair to them, some of this has been, we had to work out a process, right? We have a plan, meaning a strategic plan, but then we had to decide when does all of this take place, with staff being at capacity as well. So it takes time. And I understand if I were a provider and my money is running out, and you're saying it's gonna take time and, be patient, that's hard to do. So I don't think that it's a them issue or a us issue. I think it's just a timing issue. That's what I believe. I think we've been fairly consistent in what we've expressed to everybody. There's a plan, we're working the plan, and then we were able to reach out specifically to Leah. I'll talk about Leah since she came up. We were able to reach out to her and say, hey, here's an opportunity. We want to meet with the district. Again, it took time. We started the conversation in November. We weren't able to actually hold the meeting until January. So everything just takes time. That's my
Thank you.
answer.
Tina.
So since we're there, I guess I was trying to look, I'm looking in the green boxes, and I may not be reading appropriately over, because on page 2, the month, the titles don't go over. So I guess tutoring for K-8, let's see what box that's in. That green, there's a check mark there, so I'm taking that to mean that that's when would that be when an RFP or something would open?
So the check boxes, the checks in the green box represents that the work has started. That's what it means. So that there have been meetings, there have been discussions, and those where, so for an example, the very first row,
Is that tutoring K-8?
6 months, for an example, all those boxes are checked at the very top.
Oh, you mean
That
that
means,
6-month contract? Okay.
that represents that task is completed.
Contract.
Yes.
Okay.
So which box were you looking at, the
So
tutoring?
when the page
January.
turns over and it's tutoring K-8, that's,
So
I guess what I'm just trying to figure out where, I heard from Leah that she's saying that there's not an opportunity for her to apply for funding to go forward. I hear that there are meetings and all that have happened.
Right.
So there's this, if her funding ends
March.
March.
Yeah.
And this is February, so I, like, you're sitting there like, they're saying like March, yeah, like, that's.
No, I mean, I know.
Right, right, so I
March
guess I'm trying to
is
figure,
right
so is there, where would she then apply for additional funding, or is that in these meetings that you're saying it's happening?
She wouldn't have, she doesn't need to apply for money. She's sending us a proposal on how we can fund her. She doesn't have to submit an application. We're already in discussion with her on how can we
How can you
extend and
extend what she's
expand.
doing, the work
Send us your proposal, which includes how much does it cost for you to continue on with the potential to provide services at EDEP, as well as those 2 after-school locations that I believe we started having the discussion with her.
Okay,
So it is,
so it is
I
a
almost said as
proposal-
simple, it is not as simple, but
But
she
it-
just has to submit a proposal.
But if you're asking, let's say it wasn't Leah, so we
Yeah,
are
just
in
anybody,
talks with
yeah,
Key.
any other,
So any other entity,
Provider.
you're right, there would have to be an open funding opportunity.
And is it already, is it in a box here like that's planned to happen in the future, and I just don't see it, and like, which box? Which
For
one?
which initiative?
An initiative that was some type of literacy type, if it's not peak literacy, that's what I'm saying. I'm just trying to,
So right now, the answer is no.
okay,
However, what we're doing with Lassinger
Yeah.
is a needs assessment. And so once we complete that needs assessment, we'll know more about where the gaps are. And then there could be an open opportunity where we would put it out and say, okay, here's what we're seeking
okay,
for that particular initiative.
literacy,
Yeah.
reading and math.
And y'all are gonna meet with Ms. Gaglione, because I see a head shaking back there, so y'all are gonna meet with
With
her.
Leah Gallion?
Oh, yeah.
We have
actually
already
have a
started.
meeting
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
Wednesday, I believe.
okay, so it's imminent.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
So, Mr.
Great.
Chair, if I'm,
Yes.
so I'm in favor of this transition. I have long wanted there to be a process rather than coming to the podium as a way of getting funded. But I think we're in a transition, and so I think that perhaps just some clarification about if you've already been receiving funding, what's your game? Because if I were in her shoes and it's February 12th and March 30th, when you're in that provider seat, seems really close. And so I think if we could just maybe provide those folks that are already trust funded in some way or other, what their path is, either for continuation, or there's going to be a new RFP, or there's going to be an extension, I think that would be helpful. I'm fully supportive of anything else coming through a new RFP based on data that we've collected and based on the priority setting we've done. But I do think there is a communication gap, and I understand the overwhelmedness over here and the angst over there. And I think it'd be just really good if we had some clarifying language that people could say, okay, yeah, we're not going to leave you hanging,
So I feel like we've done that. We-
Okay.
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
say
you
that.
know I was gonna say that, I'm sorry. We not only
And
have.
maybe you
Yeah.
have, but
Yeah.
clearly if there's some sense that it hasn't gotten all the way through.
Maybe it could be consolidated in an FAQ document, just a one.
That's a
page.
good idea.
Yeah,
So you've
something
been
that puts it
saying
out
it,
there.
but then-
Repetition is always,
Yeah.
Repetition.
And then
Yeah.
we'd like to have it in our back pocket when
Yeah.
people ask us.
Yes,
So we can
exactly.
do that. We
That's a
can
good idea.
add it to the language. We've done it here at the meetings. We've had phone conversations. We've sent a few emails. I like the idea of putting one document together. I think that's a good idea. We can do that also. But I do want to be clear, we are having these conversations with our providers a couple different times. But timing, as E.D. Kiner mentioned, and the stress of realizing that your funding is ending, I do understand that 100%. So we can add to
I
what
think
we're doing.
It's not much different than early childhood education, relationship, repetition, and routine.
Yes, yes,
They matter.
yes, got it. Okay.
Any other questions? Christie?
And then, I almost said lastly, but there's one after goal 3. So, goal 3, all children and youth live in a safe community. So this includes some additional out-of-school time opportunities. This is where we have included our scholarships, for our sports scholarships, and that's a partnership with the municipalities here in our county. We're excited about this opportunity. We're going to be meeting with leadership from different cities, I believe on the 20th, talking a little bit about the sports scholarships. E.D. Kiner has had the opportunity to introduce this opportunity at our League of Cities meetings, and so that's to come. And then also under safety, we have partnered with the City of Gainesville. We co-sponsored their gun violence summit, and we've also accepted the invitation to serve on their gun violence task force. And so as more information with that comes, we'll be able to provide the board with an update. And now lastly, with our provider capacity building, we are working with the Community Foundation on a contract to expand the services offered to local nonprofits, helping to support and sustain their operations for funding with the Center for Nonprofit Excellence. And so there's a contract under review, and we're going to be meeting with them soon, February, March, to expand those services, as well as rolling out our provider training. Within your report, you can see that we have contracts, with the River Phoenix Center for Peace Building, Child Advocacy Center, and the Florida After School Network, where some of them are self-paced, some of them are in person, some of them are virtual, all really great trainings. But next month, we believe Demetrico will be able to come and present that information to you all. And that concludes my presentation, and I can answer any additional questions that you all may have.
Any further questions?
Just that number 3 on this is the same as the one we just made the motion about,
I
correct?
think so.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Any further questions? Christie, I have one. I tried not to interrupt when you were doing the navigators. You have navigators that didn't look like you might have, it didn't have anything over Waldo, Newberry, and Archer. Is that?
We're not there yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
That's in the future,
Okay.
next year.
Because those areas.
Needed it.
Are some of the most needy, at least Archer, Waldo.
Yes.
So, okay, thank you. There's no motion, so I guess we go on to the next. Well, actually, you know what? Anybody have any questions about that presentation? Okay. All right. Next item. Children's Home Society. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm gonna get my presentation. Is the mic, okay, it is. I'm sorry, I was just standing too far apart. We have a presentation. Is it printed for everyone?
Yes.
We have a printed presentation, Ms. Nancy.
Sure. Okay.
Do you need it on the screen, or can you?
No, I
follow
have it
from
up here. Thank
Okay.
you. Is this- is this what you have? That's the first one. You're right. Well, first of all, we want to say thank you for inviting us. I am Becky Couch. I was here a few years ago when we first were awarded this opportunity, and we came and presented several years ago. I am the Associate Vice President of Community Partnership Schools for the state of Florida with Children's Home Society. And with me, I have our wonderful director, Latoya. She'll speak in a minute. She's going to talk a little bit about more specifically to Howard Bishop. But I'll start the presentation and then hand it over to her.
And
So children's,
And Latoya's last name is,
Lopez.
I'm sorry.
Lopez.
Jennings Lopez.
Okay, thank you.
So Children's Home Society of Florida has been around for 121 years, and we've been spending that time inspiring to do good. Many people think of us as like adoptions, and that is where we got our start. We would do homes for children who were needing placement and needing adoptions, and we worked through those adoptions. But we have changed quite a bit over the years, and now we focus with a desire to end foster care as we know it. We know the way that we can do that is providing preventative supports to children in our communities. We are the leading, largest, and oldest statewide nonprofit serving children and families. When children and families face hard situations, we try to empower them to find and pursue opportunities and happiness. And CHS serves more than 80,000 children and families throughout the state each year. And you can see on the slide many of the areas in which we focus on, the last being community partnership schools. And so that's what we're here to talk to you about today. You'll see a slide that says the challenge. This is a little cartoon that we like to use because I think we're all kind of familiar with this challenge and the work that we do. A lot of our kiddos come to school with a lot of things that they carry on their backs, the baggage that they carry, and you can see this child in particular has hunger, sickness, homelessness, and that's a lot to overcome for a child, but also it brings in needs into the school. So then you have teachers and administrators that are kind of tasked with having to figure out how to help solve the barriers that exist for kids that may impact their learning and their ability to kind of focus on the day-to-day of academics. And that's where we come in. We are community partnership schools. I think the next slide is this one. I'm sorry. I have them all out of order. We provide wraparound supports to kids so that when they come to school, teachers can really focus on the teaching and leading, and the principals can focus on that academic piece, and we can help support by helping remove those barriers through wraparound supports. Over 90% of students attending Florida's 44 community partnership schools, there are 44 statewide, 31 of which CHS helps operate and manage, are economically disadvantaged. And so that is a big deal for us because we know that statistically that can lead to even further consequences in a child's life down the road. In May of 2020, there was an increase of 2.5 million children living in poverty as a result of COVID and other issues that they were facing during that time. Children who grow up in poverty are 5 times more likely to drop out of high school. We know that that has an economic impact on a community as well as on a family in the future. Today, nearly 80% of prison population are high school dropouts. 21% of low-income children and youth ages 6 to 17 have mental health challenges, and children are at risk of mental health challenges in first grade face a 5% drop in academic performance in just 2 years. So really trying to help assist with the mental health component is important to us. Students with toothaches, we often forget about toothaches, but dental is very difficult for people to have in our communities. They're 4 times more likely to have a low grade point average. So imagine that little kiddo that has the toothache and, they don't really have a way to resolve that issue. We try to step in and help assist with that. So there's a picture of a phone versus today's phone. And it's funny because when we show this picture, I think many young people don't even know what that first phone looks like. Many of our students, that's that rotary phone that we're all kind of familiar with, where you had to put your finger in and dial the number slowly. And it served a purpose. That was to make that phone call, to dial up. But that was the only purpose, right? And so we like to kind of compare ourselves, the conventional school versus what a community school can offer. And that's kind of like that cell phone that I see, I think, sitting at almost everybody's station. And we all depend on it and use it. And that cell phone now has become something that we can do almost everything on. We can do our calendars, we can watch videos, we can take notes, we can do more than just placing that phone call. And that's what we like to think of with a community partnership school, what we can do when we bring our resources together. And so the next slide, I think, is what is a community partnership school and why is it so unique? Community partnership school is a community school model that uses multiple core partner approach to help close the achievement gap for students and families to succeed in school and life. Long-term partnership with the school district, a college or university and healthcare provider, and a reputable nonprofit organization. So we're funded in a state line item through the state's budget. So many people will ask, well, you know, what bill is it that we would help you with? We don't have that anymore. It's actually in the state line item budget, and it's recurring funding. And so that enables us to grow community partnership schools across the state when they increase that funding. And it also kind of demonstrates that the legislature, no matter which party they're with, they really do believe in the work that we're able to accomplish. And so we have 4 core partners, and that would be that school district, the college or university, healthcare provider, and then the nonprofit, which in 31 of the 44 schools across the state, that would be Children's Home Society. We were an original core partner. We started our first school at Evans High School back in, I believe it was 2010, and we've been partnering ever since. We actually started this initiative with UCF, who is the funder for this. So the state has the money in their budget. It goes through UCF, and then we apply for planning grants, and Howard Bishop is one of our schools. Community needs assessments. We do community needs assessments, and we also have councils with every one of our schools. So we never come into a school district or school. First of all, we never come to a school district to even pick a school. We talk to that school district and find out which school they would like to put the model at. Then we do a comprehensive needs assessment with our university partner, in which we pull a lot of data and research to determine what are the needs of not only the students at that school, but in the community, and how can we step in and set goals and bring funding in to help support those needs and tackle those barriers for our kids. And CHS's unique role convenes partners and key players and leads community collaboration to bring those resources and opportunities together. And so we focus on 4 pillars of community schools: collaborative leadership, which I mentioned, those core partners, and having different strategic planning sessions like the one that you were reviewing today. We have needs assessments. We have a cabinet meeting monthly with all of our core partners. We also have a wellness provider, which is where we're here today to say thank you for, but also present on some of the numbers that we have, where we talk about, we provide support for medical, dental, vision, behavioral health, nutrition assistance, and also hygiene. And family and community engagement, where we do needs assessments with the community. We organize volunteerism, leadership, workshops for parents, education and workforce development for our teachers and our parents, and we try to do that through our university partnerships. And so the next slide, I believe, is the funding and sustainability. So that kind of brings us where we are today. With that money that we get through the state, it also does require a 25% match so that we can meet the full scale of the model. And that helps us have that funding to pay for those core positions. So we have a director at every school, we have a wellness coordinator, a family and community engagement coordinator, as well as an expanded learning coordinator. And in this case, with your support, we've been able to provide a wellness coordinator. And you can see in this diagram all of the other different children's trusts across the state that have partnered with us and helped us do this work, because it's a heavy lift and we know it, and we're so grateful for your support. I'm going to hand it over to LaToya, and she's going to talk specifically about the stats that we've been able to achieve with your partnership.
Thank you, Ms. Couch. Ms. Lopez?
Hello, thank you for this time. So Howard Bishop has a wellness coordinator. The wellness coordinator name is Samantha Jamison, who is sitting right here in the front row. And she helps facilitate and coordinate and track all the school healthcare programs. She works very closely with the school nurse. The unique part about having her as a part of our team is she was actually with the health department with Melissa and Paul, and they was actually moving over and closing out her position, and he was like, I got a great person for you. And again, collaborative leadership meeting in the, at a cabinet meeting, he brought her name up, and it was just like a perfect fit. She was already at the school working as a health tech nurse with the COVID, and she just transitioned over to our program. The kids already knew her. She was already embedded into the school, so it was just a win-win for both of us. So her being the coordinator at Howard Bishop, she's fully funded by the trust. And again, as Becky said, thank you so much for having her with us. And since we've had her with us, she's served over 781 kids. And on the next page, I'm going to tell you how she makes that happen. So we always have a running joke about Samantha because she is big on clinics. So everybody in the school knows when Sam is going to have a clinic because everybody's a part of it. The teachers, the students, we got flyers up. She's having contests for the kids to, make different posters, getting the kids involved. The parents know, the front staff knows, like the whole school know when we're going to have a clinic. So she definitely makes it a school initiative. And so if you look here closely at the UF Health Dental Clinic, and the unique thing about having her, if you look at our numbers and you saw in 2021 and 2022, where we didn't have a wellness coordinator, our number was very low because it's just hard. It's a full-time job, not only getting parents to consent, but explaining to parents why, the purpose, convincing the kids to go, setting up the space so kids can go. We still have, FERPA there where you want to do confidentiality. People don't understand when you do a TDAP and a middle schooler gets a shot, you need a quiet place that can happen at because they don't want nobody to know they're going to get a shot, even though they're in middle school. And so she provides those services by finding those spots, by meeting with those providers, setting that space up, getting the information over to the parents, getting the kids, getting the schedules together, communicating with the teachers, making sure it's not doing a core subject. We do it during electives. So it's a lot of work. And she provides that service for every clinic she does. And she works very closely with whoever team that is coming into the school. So again, like the UF Health Dental Clinic, that's for our ceilings. And so she has to get the kids together. So that process is pretty much getting the consent forms out, notifying everybody that the clinic is going to take place, meeting with the kids, letting them know that they're not pulling their teeth out, they're just cleaning them and putting ceilings on them. And then, again, getting with the teachers, getting the schedules made. But this year, Samantha has taken the time out to involve our charter schools. So we've been working with Resilience as well because they don't have the staffing to do this. So they come over and they join us for our clinics. And so that's also been an amazing treat this year to have them a part of it. We're hoping to work with North Florida next year, as well as our feeder schools. So some of these clinics that she runs, she does involve those other schools that's in the local area as well. Our clinic that's coming up this summer, which we collaborate with Saving Smiles, that is a clinic for the community. And so that's how we're able to, it's a week-ran clinic. They turn our science building into a full dental office. It's amazing. They bring in the chairs, they bring in the x-ray room, the x-rays, the waiting room. It's just a unique thing to see. And when they was telling us about it, at the time, Mr. Gamble was our principal, and we were kind of like, okay. And then we walked in and saw it. We was like, this is a dental office in our science building. And it was just amazing to watch the different parents come in. And so at that clinic alone, she was able to service last year. Oh my gosh, let me see, last year 75 families came in. So this year, we're looking at double that amount because now people know. Like parents are already calling, asking, when are you guys gonna do that dental clinic again? And so those numbers come from the ceiling clinics. So once she does the ceiling clinics, then they can see what other services those kids need. But like I always tell people, especially with dental, and Becky touched on it when she said a kid having a toothache. A middle schooler will never tell you they have a toothache, but they will tell you about their sibling. They will tell you about their mom. They'll tell you about their grandma. And so the unique thing about having Samantha here to provide these services, we can go get the little brother from Rollins. We can go get the little sister from Metcalf because we all service not only the students at Bishop, but their siblings. I always tell people, too, that kids can't help the family that they're born into. And there is a notion that kids who may come from a more privileged background don't need services, and that's not true. Mental health services is really important at our Bishop, and we see sometimes some of our well-off kids, parents don't really understand that process. And so there's a need to be met there as well. And so we look at Samantha not only as our wellness coordinator, but she takes on every kid at that school. No kid is left behind at our Bishop. And so we're just so grateful that you guys have trusted us to entrust her with our students and our kids in the community. I had a chance in Orlando to speak about the relationship of the trust, and one of the words I said to Marsha and Christy and their team, if I had to think of a word to describe this relationship, it would be dream catchers. You guys just don't really understand your reach and how many kids you are really impacting. Like when you're in the grocery store and the fast food line and a kid runs by, odds are you done did something for those kids. So just on behalf of myself and Howard Bishop, Children's Home Society, you know, we just want to tell you thank you for the hard job of making these decisions and providing these services. And we have a little token right quick of our appreciation. So where's Mr. Spear, my principal? Could you stand up, Mr. Spear, with me? So what this says is, Dear Children's Trust of Alachua County, I'm writing to express my deepest gratitude for your generous contribution to Howard Bishop Middle, a certified community partnership school, because we're certified now. Your belief in our mission and commitment to making a positive impact in the community is truly inspiring, and we are incredibly grateful for your support. Your generosity not only provides the financial support, but also serves as a source of encouragement and motivation for our team and the community we serve. Your belief in our vision reaffirms that our work is valued and make a real difference in the lives of those we aim to support. We are committed to ensuring that your investment in our organization yields impactful and sustainable results. Once again, thank you from the bottom of our hearts for your generosity and support. Together, we are making positive differences and creating a brighter future for our community. So this is from all of us to all of you.
Ms. Lopez, Ms. Couch, thank you very much. Christy, why don't you go with Marcia? Y'all do the work. We just run our mouths.
Good picture.
And we just have one more. We just want to also recognize our wellness coordinator, Ms. Samantha Jameson. Because she is amazing. And that concludes our presentation, but thank y'all again.
Ms. Lopez, I think we
you
have
have questions?
we may
Oh,
have
I'm sorry.
questions.
Have they took their photo up?
Yeah, let's do your photo, get your photo, and then come back, yeah. Don't trip
That's
over
gonna be a
that
great picture.
speaker, Marsha.
Maybe
He's
they should.
nervous.
Yeah,
Yeah, we went, the lawyer and me.
Insurance trust, the same thing. I know. It's like every time I go to Philly,
are
and
we
I
gonna
come
arm
back, I
wrestle?
see all these hazards, like,
Okay, which one of the two wants to get grilled?
We'll both try it. We'll both try it.
Oh, Dana.
oh, okay, I was gonna ask, but the dental, UF dental clinics and the Saving Smiles, it says to be determined, is that because you haven't hosted those
Right.
events for this
So,
school year yet?
right, so those
Okay.
dates are March 20th and June 10th.
March 25th, and the optical.
So the
That was real
optical, the
low.
Florida hiking, because we haven't had the clinic yet for Florida hiking,
okay.
but also we're using optical outlet. And so they've been working with us as well as getting kids over.
But the number's just low because of the,
We haven't did the clinic yet for Florida hiking.
okay, those are the only questions I have.
Any further questions? Judge?
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. So when you say you allow their families to come with them, let me just start by saying that was extremely impactful when you said it that way, that the kid wouldn't say it themselves, but they'd bring their little brother in. To me, that was extremely impactful, and I appreciate it. Are you actually having kids bring in family members?
Right, so we service not only the students at Howard Bishop, we service their siblings. And so we would either set up a doctor's appointment for that family and help mom transport over, or we meet and we, with the financial support of you, we help pay for those services. Or if we have it at the school, then we just go over and get them, and then we bring them
And,
over.
and which category are they fitting in? All of them, or?
It
some of
varies
them?
from mostly vision and dental.
Okay, that was great. I really.
Oh,
I
I'm
found
sorry,
that-
and behavioral health too. We do, because we do family counseling, so we've had situations where we've gotten a Metcalf kid and a Bishop kid together to do family counseling.
And we do want to point out the generosity of the school district, because when they redid the campus, they renovated an entire space for us, and that's what we refer to as the hub. So our community partnership schools, we have a hub of services on a campus, and and Alachua County has been just so wonderful to work with because they've acknowledged the work and they've invested in that building for us. And so that's where we can bring the community in because it's like on the external of the school. So it makes it easier for parents to access the services. And so it's just been a wonderful partnership with the school district, and they're bringing that to us and allowing us to bring our people in and help assist the community. And that's why it's called a community partnership school. While our number one priority would be the students of Howard Bishop, it truly is to impact the entire community because when we do that, we know we can change lives of a lot of people. And so we're bringing in and convening groups, and we're not duplicating. That's another thing we really try to focus on, is not duplicating services. So if someone else is doing it, then how can we connect with that group to help bring together our staff and support that group that does that service? But we try not to duplicate because that's not effective use of the dollars that the taxpayers provide.
I have a follow-up. Could I ask? a follow-up?
Sure.
Thank you. So you, at the beginning, you said your goal was to eliminate the need for foster care. How are you doing that?
So we do it through a multiple pronged strategy, community partnerships just being one of those. When we can eliminate barriers for families and children, and we can give them the mental health counseling and give them the health care and give them the food, it relieves that family stress, right? And they're just the conflict that might arise in a family because of those issues. So that's one strategy. We also have early childhood services that we provide through Healthy Start and Healthy Families. We do behavioral health, which is a big part of what we do.
So you're not just saying you eliminate foster care, you're saying eliminate removing children from their homes.
Yes.
Because a lot of children that are removed are not in foster care, they're in family care.
That's right.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you're talking about the big.
The big
yeah.
picture, yes.
Conclude.
minute.
We have Dr. Hart, then
Get jumped
Shane,
over.
and then Tina.
Hi, I'm Dr. Hart, and I really appreciate the whole model. I've known about it for many, 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 many years, and it's a dream come true to have it in our community finally, and I hope you're prepared to clone yourselves. I do have a question that's specific to homelessness. I have a rump group of people who call ourselves women who get shit done. And our goal is to have no more homeless children in Alachua County. So is there any way we could have a cup of coffee and you could tell me what you're seeing at Howard Bishop, which might just give us some leads? I think if we could eliminate homelessness for children, we could make this comprehensive program that you've got even just a little bit more comprehensive.
Yeah, we'd be happy to.
I'm available, and you can come and do a tour as well.
I would love that.
We would love to take
Love
you,
to have
anyone
all
that
of you,
wants
any
to
of you can
come
come
on
do
a
a
tour.
Then y'all can become members of the WWGS.
Maybe not you, honey.
Shane?
Thank you, sir. So just to comment, and thank you to you all for serving our children there in the community on behalf of all of us. And I thought about, you mentioned early childhood, so Gainesville for All is right there in your backyard with Metcalf. Do y'all reach back into Gainesville for All? Have you had any contact with their parents?
So I've worked with Mr. Lawrence on a couple of projects in the past. So what we've seen more so is, again, like you said, that connection of reaching out over to the elementary school because the middle schooler has
Right.
told us something about the younger sibling. So yes, I have did some partnership with Gainesville Fall.
Yeah, I know there's siblings probably throughout the
Yes.
whole continuum there, so.
And I did want to mention, LaToya mentioned that we are a certified community partnership school, and that is a really big deal and really is a wonderful triumph to overcome because it's 12 standards with multiple substandards underneath that the state and UCF has set forth for us to have to achieve. I think there's over 85 standards that we have to provide narratives for, documentation, numbers, and it's quite a triumph. And they recently got certified as a community partnership school, which renews their funding from the state for an additional 5 years. So that part has been done for 5 years, and they were awarded that last year.
That's really
Good
great.
job.
Really, really great.
Okay, Tina and then Cheryl.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Ms. Lopez, forgive me for not thanking you previously when I spoke earlier for the work that you do at the community school. But what I did want to say, thank you for that, and I know she has a heart for that, but I wanted to say that this is more to my colleagues and to the citizens who may be listening to this, is that the trust, it is a voter-approved initiative, right? And our community, for all of its challenges and income inequality and inequities and opportunities that are provided, the citizens did entrust us with this pot of money to be able to do this work, right? And we do live in a special community because in my role as school board and me serving as president of our state association, I have colleagues, from the other 67 districts, 65 districts. And they're just like floored that we don't have, we have 3 tax initiatives, really 4, but 3 that most of them know about. The trust, we have a mill and a half-cent sales tax for our schools. And there are not very many districts that have, many counties that have that access to that type of work. So I'm glad to hear that the small investment that we do, we make in the wellness coordinator at the school there at Bishop is doing good work. When you assumed the role, I had no doubt that you would do well. I know her from a life before, and her heart that she has for children, and when she didn't have children, she worked and served in a capacity that benefited children when she didn't have any. So thank you all for your work that you all do. I know it's not hard, a lot of needs, and probably it seems that there's not enough time in the day and enough dollars on the table to be able to meet all of the needs. But thank you all for the work that you do. And then thank you to the citizens of Alachua County for entrusting us to approving the tax initiative and then entrusting the board to make the decisions. And it's a lot more need than we have the dollars to do, but we're trying to do the best and make the best decisions that we can under the circumstances. We don't please everybody, but we do appreciate the work that you're doing over there. It's needed in our community, so thank you for that.
Sure.
So my question's quick. I hear you talk about, kids who might not refer themselves for services. If we as advocates out working our normal jobs come across a family that has a child at Howard Bishop that we know would benefit from the counseling or from the services, can we make a referral, or does it have to be a parent-initiated?
No, you can. You're from DC.
DCF.
They have.
I want you to put me out of work.
Well, we know, no, we know, two of your investigators have. We work with 2 of your investigators with, yeah. Well, I don't know if we can say her name, but yeah, 3 families. Yes, so yes,
Okay.
you can. And your
Okay.
people have taken initiative to do that with us.
Is there a process? Because I staff kids that are in crisis, and sometimes, and that part of that is finding out what school they go to and things. So just
So,
wanted to know.
yeah,
how-
the process would be Ms.
Just direct
Jefferson.
to
So
you.
yes, you can reach out to her or myself, but we do have a
Hence the
referral form
award.
for outside, for outside community people. Because we do get referrals. We've had people to referred by just seeing something in the neighborhood and came up to the school. So yes, you can.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Any other questions? Yes.
I do have one
Mary.
question, and I'm Mary Chance with the Consortium of Florida Education Foundations in my other hat. So I think we had like 10 community partnership folks, Children's Home Society folks at our luncheon at the Capitol a few weeks ago. And Jarvis Wheeler and Amy Ellis from UCF spoke at our advisory council. And one of the takeaways I had from that, from the school leadership perspective, is this model allows schools to focus on what they do best. And in an era of workforce shortages, that is no small thing. So I would say it relieves stress on the teachers and the school leadership in addition to the families. And the other point I heard in that presentation a few months ago was, and you would know this more than me, Maggie, but on the mental health and student resiliency side, the percentage who actually follow through on a referral when you're referred out versus normalizing it within the school community is huge. And as a former Bishop mom, I just love the idea of the eagle's nest, because I feel like you are giving families a soft place to land, to navigate in a less stressful way all the things that come with any family today. So I applaud the work. My question, though, is who leads the other 13 partnership schools in the state?
it's a competitive process, and so it could be other nonprofits, but it's hard work, so there's not a lot of other nonprofits. There's some in South Florida, I believe like a United Way, and then the YMCA in Tampa.
Okay.
And so that's about it. I think there might be one more, and I believe it's a substance abuse organization that stepped in this year, but really, and I think it's because it's a heavy lift, and we were the original core partner, which has lent itself to our success with these schools and the model. And I did want to mention, you mentioned kind of the stigmatized thing where, kids might be afraid to refer for even mental health or behavioral help. And we've been able to bring in grants. One in particular is the Florida Blue Foundation. And we do presentations with the student at Howard Bishop in expanded learning about, what's the process like to destigmatize getting a counselor and speaking to someone. And we've done that in our Northeast schools across this region, but Howard Bishop being one of them too.
And is University of Florida is the higher ed partner here, or is it UC?
It's actually University of Florida and Santa Fe. So
Okay.
we're unique at Howard Bishop. We're fortunate to have two college partners. It only requires one, but we have two. And it is a 25-year commitment.
That's the last point I
Yeah.
wanted to make, a 25-year agreement between the school district and the higher education partners and Children's Home Society, and then other
And the
partners
health-
coming, and the health.
Department of Health is our core medical partner.
I think that's another part of the secret sauce, is it's a
Yes.
long-term
So
commitment.
because, and in my former life before being with CHS, I served on the Duval County School Board for 8 years. And so you can see as a school board member, sometimes initiatives come and go. And so I think that's what makes this so appealing for school districts and for the community, is that we're here for the long-term commitment. And that's where that every 5 years of certifying and things, that's where that comes in too. So we keep that work steady and really just try to maximize our efforts.
And I do want to add, we have an amazing student leadership counselor, and you wasn't there, Mr. Cornell. We came and sat with Commissioner Wheeler. It was an amazing experience. The kids got a chance to tour and sit at the seats, and they found the candy stash. But just thank you for that, and we're hoping to be able to swing back again and see you as well. But again, just being a community partnership school and having those type of programming services to prepare our kids. And I also want to say thank you to my cabinet members that are here, Dr. Dassa, Ms. McNeely. I don't see anybody else is here. And then my regional executive director, Tiffany Martin, and my senior director, Mary Brown. So thank you all for coming to
And who are
support.
these two young women? They're just friends?
I'm sorry, they are students who are going to speak at public comments.
Oh, good. I'm waiting for that. Can they speak now?
Can we have them speak now?
I was waiting for them to speak. I'm
Let's get to
shy.
the questions, just throw a couple more questions, and then we'll get them to
Okay.
talk. Okay? Ken?
Just one quick question. First of all, thank you. Thank you for the presentation. Being certified, you said that is now a 5-year commitment from the legislature to the school?
Yes, so when we get certified, you have 5 years and you get the funding through the state legislature. And then at your 5th year, you have to get certified to continue and renew that for 5 more years. So Howard Bishop has done that. They're in their 6th year, and they were recently certified last year. So we've been fortunate where we're now going to get to 10.
Yeah, that's great. I wanted to follow up on Dr. Hart's question of scale. So is being certified, having a 25-year commitment with UF and Santa Fe, having the commitment with the school board and obviously with the county health department, is there an opportunity to add another school in this location? And if so, what do we need to do as a board to help facilitate that?
So that would be up to the superintendent and school board. If they have that desire, we would certainly love to partner and scale. It is a competitive process, because I mentioned there are other nonprofits that we compete over. 8 planning grants is typically what gets released each year if the legislature funds additional spots. And so far, for the last 4 years, that has been the case. So the 8 planning grants, when those come out, they generally happen around September and have to be turned in by November-ish, or, no, they come out in August, have to be turned in by the end of September, and then they get announced in November. We just added 2 more in the Northeast. We added one in Daytona and one in Jacksonville, and then we added 2 in the Pensacola Bay County area. But yes, if a school district wants to partner with us to do this work at another school, like for example, we could even entertain Metcalf because they're right behind Howard Bishop, which would really maximize the services, because then you're pulling together 2 budgets and you can really have more staff, more support, more continuity. There are some priorities for the planning grants. There's a feeder pattern, which is why I mentioned Metcalf. And then the other, so if you have that in your application, you get bonus points, or if it's new to a school district. So obviously we wouldn't get those points because we're already here in Alachua. So there is that benefit of having a feeder pattern.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
And I think it's safe to say that we've already met, right?
Yes.
So the conversation was, the wheels were already turning, so.
Marcia.
Yeah, when you all spoke, when we were at the FACT conference, there was a mention of several of the other CSEs were asking, could they maybe have some à la carte pieces? So not necessarily the full community school, but is there an opportunity to pull and kind of mix and match?
And the answer to that would be yes. So we are always willing to be creative, because if we can serve kids, we'll work to a yes. So some of our schools are doing unique things with adding an assistant director at a feeder school. Now, obviously, that's not funded through state funds, but if there is an outside agency like the trust or school district that want to pull resources together to fund that, we can do that. And then we can use the hub of services at like a Howard Bishop, because they have that external building, and refer kids in there. So we have this going on in a few of our areas. We're just kind of dipping our toe into it. Orlando, we're doing that there. And then we have in some parts of the state, but you guys already have this, I heard in your strategic planning, something called a navigator. And so we partner with the school district in Escambia County, and they have navigators at each of their schools, and they help coordinate services to the community partnership schools there. So it just kind of depends on the funding situation, how we want it to look, but there is that opportunity for sure.
Okay, everybody done? I have one question. The chart, if y'all wouldn't mind clarifying it a little bit, that would be very helpful to me. It looks like most of the numbers are not complete. Is that correct? Because it's only, y'all are partially into the year. Is that
Yes.
what I'm to understand? Like you have the flu mist, there's 93, last year was 97. Are y'all done with the flu mist?
So,
Or will that
yes, and
continue?
what we found out this year, which we had a conversation with Paul and Melissa about, is we need to do a better explaining of our parents of mist and shots. So that was kind of like the big conversation of what we're gonna do a little different next year, or doing Meet the Teachers. God, excuse me. We're doing Meet the Teachers to better explain that.
Okay, and all the rest of them, like to be determined, because y'all haven't done it yet.
Correct.
The outlet, y'all to be determined. Behavioral health, that's just because of where we are at this point in time. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and the rest of the restorative practice, what is restorative practice?
Restorative practice is a partnership we're doing actually with River Phoenix. And so Bishop has become a hub school for all of our staff to be trained. So all of our student support services have been trained through River Phoenix to do restorative practices. And now our goal is for all of our teachers to be trained. And so what we do is once we go through the training, we kind of support the deans with mediations.
Okay,
So that's why it's good the numbers are low, because we're seeing a less need of that. But we are being able to mediate those large groups of conflict between students. So again, I think Ms. Chain said it earlier, where it's not tying up the school so much. So Ms. Jameson, myself, and my Spanish learning coordinator are all trained in that area.
So the
It's an
number,
offshoot of restorative justice, right?
the number in parentheses is kind of your target of what you want to do
No,
for the
that's how
year?
many kids we've served so far.
I'm sorry.
That's how many students we served so far this year. So,
Well, you got 6
so
and
when you
then
see,
parentheses.
so that's 6 groups, sorry, 28 kids. So
Okay.
it's 6 groups, 28, and then this year it was 3 groups for 15 kids.
Okay, all right.
And so we're hoping to get it down smaller, because now we're seeing the groups the bickering is getting smaller. And so it's maybe 2 or 3 kids instead
That's
of,
conflict.
So instead of a consequence in school, they would maybe be referred to this group?
that's what they do.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's,
Yes.
It's great. It's
Well-
great work.
Great model.
Ms.
great model.
Lopez, Ms. Couch, Ms. Jameson, and all the rest of the posse. Thank y'all very much for being here. What's really neat is sitting here, this is when we get to see, we kind of reap the benefit of, this is our payment. That we can see all the wonderful things that's happening in the community, and obviously, y'all are working wonders there. So, thank you very, very much. We appreciate everything that you're doing.
Thank you.
Because what you can be doing, our intent is to make it generational. And so whatever y'all can do, and it sounds like y'all are trying to, get that in the mix. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
And now
Oh, yeah.
students,
y'all.
yeah.
Students, yeah.
Are they sisters?
amplify their voices.
Are they twins?
Hello.
Are y'all sisters? Are y'all sisters?
Yes, twin sisters.
Oh, my goodness.
Love me some twins.
My name is Story Stanley, and I'm an 8th grader at Howard Bishop Middle School, and this is my twin sister, Storia Stanley. And just want to share how Miss Jameson helped both of us at Howard Bishop. I got my flu mix with her. She's also helped me with my high school application. She helped all the kids at Howard Bishop Middle School. She helped them get glasses, and I just love her, and she makes Howard Bishop better, basically, an amazing school. What do I say? Basically, we both
Ditto
just
as a
love
twin.
Miss Jameson.
Oh,
All right, that's great. That's great. Thank y'all very much for being here. That just makes our day.
I know, please borrow your jacket.
Okay,
We know it's cold if I'm
I
cold.
believe Mia has to follow that, so.
Usually I'm the only one that's cold. so-
Is that correct? Lucky you, huh?
Hi.
And Mia, I just want to say before you start, what you're doing with this is truly a very, very good thing, because what you are doing is giving other institutions the ability to learn and to take that to make their business model even better, which will go towards, once again, the generational aspect of what we're trying to do. So while that was a great presentation, it makes us feel great this one may not be quite the same, but it certainly is a great thing that you're doing.
Don't go through all the slides. Don't go through all the slides. I think that's what our chair's trying to say to you.
Well, go for it now, Mia.
Good luck.
All right, so I'm here for the 2023 overview for the Business and Leadership Institute Masterclass and Accreditation Academy. Next slide. So we will talk about the different components, and I don't think I've ever gone into too in-depth about the different components that we do, and I call it BLI. So if I slip up and do initials, that's the Business Leadership and Institute. That's what it stands for. We'll also review the end-of-the-year report for Cohort 2. I feel like I've done that before, but if it looks familiar, feel
Mia,
free
they're
to
asking you to tilt the microphone up a little bit just so you can
Got it.
a little better heard.
Better?
I can hear you, but
Okay. So I'll review the end-of-the-year report for Cohort 2. And Cohort 2 was recruited in 2022. in October of that year, and then they started their classwork in 2023. So that's cohort 2. We'll also do the highlights for 1 year after our first one, which is cohort 1, and we have that report, and they would have been recruited in 2021, and their class would have been in 2022. I'll also do a brief update of the Accreditation Academy and what our upcoming events are. Next slide. This is a reminder of who our community partners are. We could not do this, well, we could do the work, but it is better with company. So we do this work with the Greater Gainesville Chamber. Ian Fletcher over there is awesome. And then, of course, we also work with our Early Learning Coalition of Alachua County staff. And then, of course, BLIEL, that stands for Business Leader Institute for Early Learning. They are an organization. They're the ones who really have given us the components to do this work, and it's through them that we're able to offer all of our participants CEUs, so they get 4.5 CEUs for participating in all of this. Next slide. All right. So this gives you like a little overview, and then the next few slides will kind of talk a little bit more. So we start this process through doing a community roundtable. Our last one was here. The pictures don't look like here, but the last one was here. And then we do a dinner and a conversation. And the dinner and the conversation is with our early childhood owners and directors. We invite them out to have a dinner, have a conversation to really be able to learn what this program is about. And then it's divided into 2 different classes. So we have master class, and dinner and conversation is recruited from that. And we have Accreditation Academy, and we take those that we've recruited for master class, and we look and see if they're a good fit for Accreditation Academy. And good fit means, have you been in business for a year? Are you at a location, that you've been at for a year? Those are different things that they look for fit. What does your employment or your talent look like? Do you have constant turnover? Because that's not going to really help when you're doing accreditation. So for masterclass, we have on-site 4 in-person sessions, and you'll learn a little bit more. We have online Velocity platform, and then we have some levels of supports, and that is our mentors. They do a conversation with the CEO for Business Leader Institute, and then of course the platform itself, and then SCORE. And we'll talk a little bit more about what SCORE stands for. And then we have 2 different accreditations. There's Apple accreditation, and then there's the NAAFCC accreditation, which is for family-based homes. Next slide. So we did our community roundtable in October 12th of 2023. We'll have another one coming up soon. We went about that process a little bit differently this year. We invited all of our community partners an opportunity to really engage our community. So the community roundtable isn't just early childhood folks. It is our elected officials. It is our city. It's our planners. It's anything that has to do with having that economic conversation with our community about childcare. That is what the community conversation is about, and we're excited to have another one soon. Hopefully June will be the next one.
How's your attendance?
Attendance, it varies. This time I'd have to say we had a good array of attendance for this room. I feel like we had more people this year than we probably have had the second year we did it. So it's growing. I think as people learn what it means, because as soon as you see the word childcare, they're like, should I be a part of that conversation? And then you have to explain to them why. This year our chamber actually talked a great deal with different businesses to be able to help people understand why they needed to be able to engage in that conversation, and that kind of helped tremendously. So the next one, our dinner and a conversation. We have that to really talk to early childhood folks. And I talked about center, and I talked about family. So family-based is you actually have your business in your home, whether it is a little building outside of your home, you walk, but it's on your property. And then there's centers, it's away from your home. And those are 2 different types of licensing types for for early childhood, early learning. Next slide. So for masterclass, and I'm not going to read this slide because it's a lot of words, and I promise you there's a few other slides in here if you didn't pre-read that are quite wordy. But the components of the masterclass are marketing, finance, human resource, and real estate. And then I already said we have the online platform that enforces all the things that they've learned during those sessions. There's also the Accreditation Academy, which helps them to build towards quality and be able to be accredited business. And parents look for that too. So it's also a marketing piece. Next slide. So here's our mentors. The secret sauce is mentors. And our mentors, I'm proud to say, the first year they weren't local. They were mentors who came across the state who had done BLI before, and they came to help us build our program. So last year and this year, our mentors are local, with the exception of our lead mentor, who's actually from the Orlando area. So we have Russell, who he owns Small World Daycare and Learning Center, Dietrich Sherman, who owns Patty Cake Christian Academy, and Bonnie Bowman is not one of our mentors this cohort, but she will be for next cohort because she's right now learning to be a lead mentor. Go ahead, next slide. Our facilitators are also local. There's a picture for some reason that looks like it wants to be missing. Don't know why, but.
We got her here.
Yeah.
I think it pops up on the
Yes.
next slide.
Good. So the facilitators are also a secret sauce because they are local people. Maria comes from our Wells Fargo. The last 2 years, we've utilized a Wells Fargo person who teaches all of the master classes. This year, we brought in our local one who has been able to work with that person and really be able to teach the business and finance portions of the master class. Shireen Baptiste, she teaches our marketing. She's with Exposure Consulting Firm. And of course, Trisha Roy, she's with Open Spaces International. She also at one point was our SCORE lead. And then Heather Vogel, who's the Human Resources for Children's Home Society. Next slide. Other supports they have a conversation with Robin. So if you've ever had the opportunity to meet with Robin, be in the room with Robin, it is a wonderful experience for our business leaders because she knows just so much. She started this business simply because she was on the board and she felt like there needed to be something to help them build what they needed to have to be able to sustain themselves. So they have that conversation with her monthly. She pulls in all of the different business owners and directors throughout the state who are also going through masterclass, and it gives you an opportunity to be able to ask questions, have discussions, and to be able to meet someone who may be going through the same thing you're going through. They also have built in different kind of things like Excel spreadsheets that are specific to their industry. And then, of course, like I said, the Velocity platform, which was actually created with the help of Wells Fargo and FIU. Next slide. Business plans are very important as a part of this. And so they don't just complete masterclass, the 4 sessions once a month. They don't just do the online. But out of this, they're also supposed to create a business plan. And there is someone that's reviewing all of those business plans and being able to provide some type of assistance, some type of mentorship for free. So they don't have to pay for any of that. SCORE is one of those partners, and it stands for Service Corp of Retired Executives. And it's a nonprofit organization, and we do work with the one that's locally here. Next slide. Accreditation Academy. So our accreditation specialist is Stephanie Riley. She works with FACM. FACM stands for Florida Association for Child Care Management, and the accreditation is called APPLE, Accredited Professional Preschool Learning Environment. Some of the questions I often get is, why did you choose APPLE? There's lots of accreditations. FACM and APPLE, they are actually a partner of BLI. So it was very easy for us to have that accreditation specialist that we're able to contract with for that purpose. Next one. So the accreditation specialist for family home there's only one. So they're with the National Accreditation for Family and Child Care. So they go through that process. There are 5 standards for that accreditation process. And Arlene Lambert is also the president of the Florida Home Family Child Care Home Association, which is a mouthful. I am very proud to say that because of BLI here, we're starting to have our own association here. One of the things I learned a couple of weeks ago, they've met 13 times. And they're starting to formalize that because we didn't have one before. One of the other things I'm very proud of is that our class for this cohort was really recruited from other family homes. They spread the word just that quickly and said, this is something you need to do. And they showed up and they support each other. And you can see the support of them encouraging each other to go through this process. So for me, at the end of this cohort, when we add all 3 together, we're going to have a very, very strong family home association and very strong people who've actually gone through BLI as well and accreditation. So the benefits of accreditation is you become eligible for Florida Gold Seal Quality Care Designation, up to 20% increase in school readiness funding, property tax exemption, tax exemption on educational goods and services, consistent policies and practices, and greater staff retention and increased morale. So this is our classes so far. So hopefully it looks a little bit bigger when you're looking at it. But these are all the centers from our 2022 cohort, our 2023 cohort, and our current cohort, 2024, that is currently going through the process. Next slide. All right, so let's go into the end of cohort 2 report. Go ahead. So one of the things that they do in BLI is they do a pre-test and a post-test. This is their pre-test results. 50% of them said they were somewhat knowledgeable. And knowledgeable on what? Mission and vision, creating a business pitch, creating an elevator pitch, writing a budget, negotiating, strategic planning, business leadership credit and how it works, building your brand. They were knowledgeable on all of those things when they took this test. And 9% said that they didn't have an idea. Pre-test report, 20% reported they were not taking a salary. That was one thing that we learned in cohort 1, is that child care industry, they don't pay themselves. They do this work and they do not pay themselves. 20% of business reported they were under-enrolled. 79% of business reported serving school readiness children, and 100% of businesses reported themselves as not being accredited. Next slide. Post-test, at the end of that, 63% of them said that they were very knowledgeable, with only a little bit saying that they're not knowledgeable. What happens with that percentage who's not very knowledgeable? There's alumni, there's a whole alumni series. There's still mentors that can help them get to where they need to be. There are still people that are working with them to give them what they need. Next slide. Post-test reports, 100% of them expect to increase their revenues. 93% of them expect to increase their enrollment. 93% of them expect to increase their hiring. And 100% expected to increase teacher salaries. And 87% of them expect to apply for accreditation. One of the things I've learned from BLI that's a good indicator that a business is surviving and doing well is their ability to renegotiate their lease if they have one, or to negotiate new vendors. And what I did notice in a few of them, when they can negotiate vendors together, they become a lot stronger. 1 year later, cohort 1, and before I go into that one, I'm going to pause a little bit to see if there's questions.
Any questions?
Okay. All right, cohort 1. Remember, cohort 1 was recruited in 2021 when most of us were just getting here. And then 2022, here we were. So these are a few of the questions that BLI, the staff there, asked. Have you increased your business revenue since participating in BLI? 54% of them said yes. Go ahead.
May I ask you a question? As far as the quality of the cohort 1 versus the cohort 2, because you have some it'd be interesting to see what happens with cohort 2, because they all pretty optimistic. Cohort 1, was it the same? How did it rank to cohort 2?
What I've noticed is that between both cohort, they all come thinking they know something, and then they leave being excited to think that, I'm going to change this, I'm going to do that, and a lot of them actually do. What I can see from cohort 1 is that we did have at least 4, and I think I'll get to it at some point, I think, who went through Accreditation Academy, because at that, so we could see how they applied everything they learned through BLI to be able to say, oh, now we see how this all works.
Okay.
So, yeah, it looks very much the same.
Okay, thank you for letting me interrupt you.
Okay, have you increased teacher salaries since participating in BLI? 73% said yes.
That's big.
That's
huge.
Yeah.
Have you been able to increase your salary since participating in BLI? And 43% said yes. Next one. Have you increased enrollment since participating in BLI? And 56% said yes. Have you hired additional employees since participating in BLI? And 39.1 said yes, which for us, that may look a little low. Has the shortage of early learning teaching affected your business? And 60% said yes.
That's just a nice flip of, you haven't added, and it's about the same as the shortages impacting you. So the question might be interesting to ask is, if there had been applicants, would you have been able?
True.
Why didn't you expand? Lack of applicants or lack of capacity?
Couldn't find the people.
Yeah.
And we can make some assumptions that they couldn't find the people, at least not what they would have considered qualified for the field. And there's a lot of data that supports just that.
Mia, the pay increase, you didn't ask it in the questionnaire. Did you have any idea for the range of how much they increased the pay of their staff?
No, and there's a reason for that. So cohort 1, we really didn't ask those questions in the beginning. And cohort 2, we didn't ask them either. Cohort 3, we're asking a little bit more questions about those things. One of the things that we did ask is we're asking the state to do is a wage study, because there isn't one that really has been done. I think Herman's behind me, but I don't know where this.
He's right back there.
He's grinning.
So that's what we feel that is needed. Some counties have done the work to be able to see what wages look like for their centers and for their family base. We haven't done it here at a county level. We certainly haven't, I haven't seen it at a state level yet.
You said family base. You wouldn't want to know that for center base?
I want to know it for both.
Oh, okay.
Both center, both family. I want to know it for school readiness. I want to know it for private, those who don't take school readiness.
Interesting to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I honestly be interested to know what the wages are, because I've known people who left the field because the wages are low. They just couldn't. Which is a reimbursement. I mean, wages are tied to what you get paid to do what you do, right?
What I hear from even some of the directors, some of them have 3 jobs, or they can't afford to even pay for childcare at the place that they work. And that's something that's still very much real. It's going to take a little bit of time to get from one to the other. Accreditation Academy, and I'll try to be a little faster. Accreditation Academy, we have, at this point, 3 cohorts. Cohort 1 is completed, and so that was Persimmon Early Learning Academy, Little People Preparatory Preschool, Hagos Early Learning Center, and Lee's Fun to Learn Daycare and Tutoring. Those are 4 they've completed. They are fully accredited centers, and it was hard work, very hard work. When I read their reports that they've had to go through, some of them lost staff during that time, so bringing up staff up to speed, especially when you have accreditation folks coming through your building, that's a fast learn for even staff to be able to learn, this is how I need to do things. These are the things that they will be looking for. In progress for 2023, we have Small Steps, which was a part of cohort 1. We recruited her for cohort 2. So it's okay as long as they finish master class, they can actually come into Accreditation Academy later if they needed to. The Kids House, Granny D's Learning Center, Morning Meadows Preschool and Kindergarten, Step-by-Step Learning Center, and Hand in Hand. And a lot of these businesses are very close to where our old building was, and then some of them are outside of the area. For 2023, now that's center-based, sorry about that, that's center-based. For our Family Home in Progress, if you remember I said that we had a huge recruitment from just Family Home participating in our first cohort. And so a lot of these homes wanted to be also accredited. So that was the new piece that we added is the Family Home accreditation. So we have Patty Kate Christian Academy, and she's also one of our mentors. Mitchell Child Care, Incredible Minds Learning Center and Child Care, Maria Papillo, Large Family Daycare Home, Bright Minds Family Daycare, and Simmons Home Child Care. So for 2024, Accreditation Academy, that's like right now, cohort 3 centers, this is them pre-planning. We have Kids Count in Alachua County, Gainesville Empowerment Zone, Santa Fe College Little School, Hawthorne Academy, and Love and Care Preschool Kids Academy. And those are the centers. And then for cohort 3 pre-planning, this is Kids Culture Learning Academy and Little Debbie's Childcare, Tiny Little Blessings, Head Family Daycare, Scott's Large Family Childcare Home, and Central Kids Learning Academy. What I didn't say, go back to the other slide, Dee, if you can. What I didn't say is for the last cohort, we took our specialists for accreditation, and they actually attend every single master class. So they've gone out to the centers, they've talked to them directly, they can see already what they're working with to be able to guide them a little bit more, and then they attend every single master class. So they're there on hand to answer questions, to participate, to see what they're learning, what questions come up. So pre-planning, a lot of that is paying the fee. That's learning what standards am I going to have to do. Preparing myself to do the work, because it is hard work. When you've been taking care of children all day and staff, this is extra. This is a really heavy load, and I really applaud them for really taking it on. Next one. So I talked a little bit about the Gold Seal. Florida Gold Seal, number one, it is not mandatory. You can get accredited and not ever have to do Gold Seal if you don't want to. But once you complete the accreditation process through a Florida Eligible Accrediting Association, and both of ours are, you can apply for Gold Seal. And of course, me trying to figure out how are they figuring out how to do this. It is not that easy. Good thing they have specialists who can help them through that process, but they can find the application on the Children's Forum website. Tax exemption, since that's also one of the benefits of being accredited, they can apply for sales tax exemption. Also, the Children's Forum website will give them the application for that, and that's issued by the Florida Department of Revenue. And then, of course, for tax exemption, if they own the property that their center is on, they would contact their local property tax office. Wait time, it takes about 3 weeks to process application. I'm going to assume maybe a little bit longer since we're somewhat getting out of COVID, and it may require a site inspection first, depending on when their last one was, and there are some religious exemption considerations. Next slide. What's coming up? Next one. So this is where we are right now. So we've already done our masterclass session 1. We're heading into our masterclass session 2. Our executive director, Marcia Kiner, did a wonderful welcome and encouraging words on January 26th they felt inspired. And then on February, ELC will come and do the same thing. They will offer a welcome and some encouraging words. In March, the same thing there. We'll have someone come in the community to do a welcome. I believe it's the chamber, and they will offer some encouraging words as well. And then they finish up on in April from there. And by then, they should be working on finishing up their business plan, because they've been working on that all along. They should be finishing up any online things that they need to finish up. And then we prepare for our June 8th Early Learning Symposium, which is new, and graduation. So graduation is their recognition for completing everything. And then the Early Learning Symposium is us inviting the alumni out to have a deeper conversation. And we still are trying to plan around that. All right, that is it. Any questions?
I was able to go to the graduation, was it cohort 2 that I was at?
Cohort
1? And the amount of energy, I mean, you know, they'd been through it all by that time. And I was so impressed by the amount of energy and enthusiasm and camaraderie. I mean, clearly these folks had formed a support group, and you knew that they were going to be able to reach out to each other, you know, for further questions or support. So it was a fabulous experience, actually, to be at the graduation. So Mia, this has been fabulous. I think it's a great effort, and you've helped us understand it so much better today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Great work. You know, this is a real opportunity for folks to get out of working in their business and actually work on their business to build, you know, sustainability, resiliency, and more profit so that they can expand or just actually stay in business oftentimes. How do they apply for the tax exemption if they own the facility? And how long does that take?
It could take a little bit. So they actually have to take all that evidence, meaning my certificate for accreditation, my, you know, gold seal if I have it, and then I need to go ahead and contact that office to fill out an application to be exempt.
Yeah.
So it could take a little bit.
And then how long does that exemption last?
Oh, they have to apply for it every single year, meaning it's just on there. And then, of course, if it no longer applies, maybe they've changed buildings, maybe something changed. It's similar to what we would do if we were a widow or other things have changed.
Okay.
It's just an indicator on their thing.
Okay, that's great benefit. Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions? Mia, great job.
Great job.
We appreciate it very much.
Thank you, Mia.
Okay, at this point, if there anyone in the public, it's a second opportunity to come up and talk to us about whatever you might want to talk to us about. Okay, moving right along. Board member comments, Maggie,
I'm good.
Judge, Tina?
Good.
Jane?
Said it all.
Good. Okay.
Well,
that's
sort of
all.
said it all,
Ken?
but.
Well, good. Cheryl? Mary? I don't have anything either. And as y'all, also in the backup, there was information about the 3 items that are listed. And our next meeting date will be the board meeting. It's going to be here on March 4th.
Correct.
I will not be here, so Ken will take over on that one. And with that, this meeting is adjourned.
Hey, one other thing, just the staff.
You had your opportunity.
I got you, I did. I forgot about it. The annual report was, we received it in the mail, but then you printed it in here. Let's whack off the trees for this year. Since we all received it, let's back off the trees. Okay. Save
Okay?
the tree. I'm ready.
Okay, all right. We're
Thank you,
adjourned.
sir.
Thank y'all very much for being here. We appreciate it.